she is, marked down.
Unfortunately, it didn't pop up as green. Oh, good, it did. It did.
Yay!
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you're located. Welcome to another installment of Facebook Live for MOUG. I wanted to welcome all of our friends from Australia, New Zealand, down that part of the world. We hope you can all join us, and we hope you like what you see. Again, I have Isabelle accompanying me, the wonderful and great Isabelle. So you can ask her a ton of questions. She's super awesome, and she's very good at BLK. And another shout out as well to Adam, who's behind the scenes getting all this to work. Thank you so much, Adam. You're a star. All right. So, do we have any? Oh, and I have a secret person coming next week, which I will tell you about at the end of this session. All right. There's no agenda. You can just ask questions. Hit us up with whatever you want, whatever you guys want to talk about. We're here for you. This is a half an hour where we're basically here and available and open. Hi, Harry.
We have Dean from New Zealand.
Oh, Dean Sholay.
Yes.
Hey, Dean, how are you? He's one of my favorites from down under. When will 360 be out of beta? 360 placement. I don't know when it'll be out of beta. I know that there's still some issues that they're having with it that they're working on. So look out in the newsletters for that information. Hopefully we'll have our newsletters coming out again shortly. We haven't had some in a while because the person who was doing them left, but I'm sure that they will be back shortly, and that's how we do a lot of our communication with you. If there's certain issues that you're having with the 360 placement, please contact support. We'll help you work through them. And again, thanks for all your patience while we get all the kinks worked out of that. Hi, Harry. So, Isabelle, do you have any tips for the week?
No, do you?
No, it's pretty quiet here. Anything I should know about potentially scanning a large car dealership? Ooh. Yeah, so car dealerships are hard. I've had to fix quite a few of them. They're hard to fix. Usually because you get some pretty bad alignment. Cars tend to be either shiny or black or dark, which lends more to alignment issues. So when you're scanning them, be very careful and watch where the scans are placed as you're moving along. If you see one that's placed in the wrong location, don't ignore that and don't assume that the software will fix it. Delete it, move closer to a prior scan, and try again.
What is the best way to deal with reflective cars? Like when it doesn't proceed?
Yeah, that's a good question. You can try moving around a bit to another area that you've previously scanned. Maybe that might help. I've had some people try to scan, like this one guy was scanning a van, a truck that was a kitchen, and every surface was shiny. So he bought this spray and he sprayed every surface with the dulling spray, and then he scanned and it worked beautifully, and then he wiped it off.
Oh,
So
that's a lot of work.
so I'm sure you don't want to start spraying these cars, but certainly there is spray that's available that you can use to dull surfaces. Hey, Justin, how are you? Good to see you. So glad you could join us for once. I have to give Justin a hard time. All right, what are some other questions we have?
Here's a question. Should you mark the cars as windows or mirrors because they're reflecting, or is that a bad idea?
So the problem when you have a car and you mark it either as a window or a mirror, that marking is going to go all the way from the floor all the way up. So you're going to get a wall of 3D data.
That's true.
So I think that's kind of ugly. Typically you don't get the tops of the car anyway because the tripod is set at like 5 feet, so you don't see that. So that's not typically an issue. What I think is more of an issue is that because all the cars kind of look the same and they're all in a row, the camera gets confused as to where it's at. It's sort of the whole concept of a repetitive space. So if you have cars that are like maybe different colors, it would work better. So park your cars in the showroom by color, like alternating colors. But yeah, cars are hard. They're just hard. You have to be really diligent and watch where things are being placed. What's the height recommendation for a tripod? Isabelle, do you have any input on that?
You know, I get a lot of complaints that I scan too high. And my usual scan height is to have the top row of lenses at my own eye level, but I get that it depends on where you are. If you're in a warehouse with really high ceilings, you may want to lift your tripod a little. But if you're in an apartment with a really low ceiling, then maybe you want to lower it to maybe 5 feet, 4.5 feet, just so that the viewer doesn't feel crowded by the ceiling. So I think as you scan more spaces and see your results, you'll have an idea of where it should be.
Yeah, so I've heard people say that lower is actually better. I've heard that if you there's 2 sections to the legs on the tripod. If you extend one fully and then you extend the center pole higher up so that it's at about 4 feet to 4.5 feet, that seems to work really well. But yeah, like Isabelle said, it's sort of personal preference, right?
And also to complete the 3D mesh, a lot of people lower it all the way to the floor in the bathrooms to get between the toilet and the bathtub, or they put it on the kitchen counter to get the ceiling above the refrigerator or on kitchen cabinets. So there's a lot of tripod moving around and height extending that you can do depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. And if you're scanning in the insurance industry, you'll want to scan the entire house in one pass with as few scans as you can. Get a skeleton of the actual building to order your floor plans off of that with the minimum number of scans in it, and then go back and add more make a copy, go back and add more scans to the copy. And then in the insurance industry, you're going to want to take a scan 2 feet away from every point of interest. So anywhere where you would stand to take a picture of the damage, put your camera 2 feet away from that area of damage and do a scan there. So for example, if you've got some damage up on the ceiling, raise your tripod all the way up so it's 2 feet away from that damage, take a scan up there. So it's a different concept altogether because you're not actually navigating through the damaged area. You're just looking to show people what the damage is, right? And remember, you can only walk to the points where you've scanned. It's not like you can walk to an infinite number of spots within a home or anything, a building you've scanned.
What is the reason for scanning a very few scans? Is it for speed so that you can
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
So when you're doing for insurance, you want to get your floor plans back quickly. You want it to process quickly. So you'll take the bare minimum number of scans. You're not looking for something that's pretty or that people are going to navigate through. And typically the insurance industry gets floor plans, which they use to pull into Xactimate. So it's a whole different ball game, right? But yes, you're correct. It's to get the least number of scans to process quickly, and then you can get your floor plans ordered. Hey, Boris, Dimitri. Hi, guys. All right, do we have any more questions?
So about construction companies from Michael, when I was buying my BLK from the Leica dealership, I ran into a construction industry CEO who said that he has 4 Matterport cameras and he was buying 8 more for the purpose of scanning every week. He does tenant improvement construction, so when you lease an office space or a retail space, usually tenants have shelves and carpeting and walls and drywall put in. And so during this process, his company would scan it every week to show the landlord and the tenant what the progress is like. So I was really intrigued by that. And so I don't think it's very, very common yet, but it is being done. So that was very encouraging to see.
Yep. Great idea. Does the floor plan diagram get affected if you can deliver a complete dollhouse?
Oh, so what you were saying that if for insurance, you scan a very few scan, is that, well, how do you know when it's enough to generate a complete floor plan?
Okay, so the floor plans are generated from the OBJ, and if you look at the mini map that's on your capture app, as long as most of it you can see, like you're looking for the walls basically, so if you can see sort of the outline of all the walls, then you're good to go. So you don't have to necessarily have all the black spots or areas in the interior of a room filled in, but you need the outline.
Question from Jesse about fast scan. It scans faster.
Yes, it does. I think
But
scanning.
I've gotten a lot of the comments that does fast scan have lower quality or collect less 3D data? It doesn't, does it?
I don't know. I would like to say no, but I don't know for sure, and I don't want to give you the wrong answer. I do know that sometimes when you have fast capture turned on, it over rotates a little bit, and when that happens, we tell people to turn it off. So there are still some issues that they're working on, but I will find out if fast capture takes as much data as the regular capture, and I'll let you guys know. Sorry about that. Hi, Raul. Is there an option for taking strictly still panoramic images? So I think what you're talking about, is there a way to take only 360 views and not any 3D scans? Correct me if I'm wrong, but in order to upload any model, you have to have at least one 3D scan. And if you're only interested in the 360 views to take and then to get snapshots from those as panoramas, then all you need to do is stick your camera on the table, take one 3D scan of anything, it doesn't matter what it is, and then you can upload the model and pull the snapshots from there. Wow. So Michael says he's currently writing a thesis on the point cloud accuracies and the use of the point cloud in BIM for Ireland. Currently no standards set for Europe over point cloud accuracies requirements for BIM. Wow, the paper could lead to Matterport being used throughout Europe for the creation of BIM models.
Oh my God.
Yay!
Awesome. Yay.
Isabelle and I may have to come visit you to make sure you're doing it correctly. Just saying. That's awesome. That's really great. So yeah, and then I saw a comment earlier about somebody saying that scanning construction as a measure of progress. Yes, that's becoming much more popular. It's a tool that gives people data that's super valuable. For my personal use, I built the house that I live in currently, and I would have loved to have that. I would have loved to scan it as it was progressing, and then I would have had a record to show. And then now if I want to know like what wires are in my walls, I don't have to take off my drywall to figure it out. I know, right? So that would have been a great tool. I'm having trouble uploading photos from Matterport to MLS. The photos will upload, but can you see the rest of that message?
But there's still a white border around the picture. So they need to be cropped according to your MLS's specifications. So when you download it, it may not be the right size, but if you set up a workflow in Lightroom or Photoshop, then you can crop them to all the same size. That is what people usually do.
Can we request an optimization edges of model getting very pixelated? All right, so remember that the Matterport camera has a hard time collecting depth data for things that are closer than 18 inches. It also has a hard time with thin railings, so on staircases, on chairs. So if you're scanning up a stairwell that has a thin black railing on the side, try to stay at least 18 inches away from that. It's just a limitation of the software and the hardware, and you know, just try your best to work around it. We're constantly working to make things better. So, sorry.
I discovered the other day when doing 360 views on the balcony that if you lift the tripod above the railings, which you can usually do on stairs, then it becomes less pixelated. I was scanning a house and I went back 3 different times to get the metal railing, which was reflective and thin, and oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it never turned out. And now I realize that if I lifted the tripod so that it's high above, it might have been better.
Oh, interesting. Good to know. Thank you, Isabelle.
Apart from, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What other BIM solutions can Matterport offer besides Matter Packs?
More than just asset creation, are there any other options such as direct integration into BIM software? Currently, we don't offer that. I'm happy to put in a feature request. So if you would like, you can write your ask in an email to support@matterport.com. We will log a feature request for you and see if one day that can become a reality. Yeah, Haley, I know. I've seen more instances where people are having issues with nibbles in ceiling fans and marble countertops. Again, that's just a depth issue. Try to scan a little bit farther away from those. I've given a few examples to the engineering team, and each time it comes back as it's just a limitation of our software and hardware. Sorry about that. But we are aware of it. We're always working on trying to make things better. Hey, Sherry, how are you? Nice to see you. What is expected with the new CEO? Oh, we're expecting great things. We're super excited. He seems like a great guy. I've not personally met him yet. Um, I think the only drawback I can think of is that he's from U of M and I'm from Michigan State. But other than that, he seems pretty awesome. I'm hoping maybe we can convince him to come on Facebook Live one week. I've put the
That would
ask
be
in. We'll see.
awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but give him a little time to get adjusted, to warm up, to learn things. But hopefully, I'll be able to convince him to come on here. And if he's watching now, I'm gonna come ask you. Is there a downside to trimming inside the walls of a scan as opposed to along the wall? Seems like it would make for a cleaner dollhouse.
Yes and no. So if you trim too far away from the wall, you'll get a weird double wall effect. As you're going past the wall, there'll be this transparent, invisible wall that moves with you. So I made the mistake of trimming too far on a recent model, and that is what happened. And you can experiment if you upload once and you find that the dollhouse is fuzzy, that the windows are protruding, you can re-upload and try again. Sometimes it takes more than one try to get the trim right.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to use trims if you mark all your windows and mirrors. Trims are for like if you're out scanning outside and you want to clean that up. But remember, trim marks are moved back 40 centimeters. So, and right now the way window markings works is it looks to see where you've marked it and it moves back either 40 inches forward, 40 inches backward, and it tries to find the best location it can where it thinks the window actually is. So there's some smarts that have been built into it. But again, on the flip side, that makes it harder because you kind of don't know where to mark your windows, and sometimes they're a little off. But I think as you mark more and you get more experience, it'll become more clear. So yeah, it's something that you sort of get better out as you do it. Hey, there's Luke. I haven't heard from you in a while. He says, will more scanners be supported like the Leica RTC 360?
Ooh.
I don't believe that's currently on the roadmap.
It's big and fancy.
But not completely out of the question, I suppose. You never know. What's the best way to clean up a deck or porch to make a greater dollhouse? Wash it down with water before you scan. Sorry, Sherry. I guess it would just be mark wisely, scan wisely. Do you have any suggestions, Isabelle?
If you trim on the perimeter, usually, so the tough thing about decks and outside areas is that the ceiling, right, that it goes beyond, you get a lot of spray overhead and there's no vertical trim.
Yeah.
So we are praying for vertical trim, B.
Yeah, me too, because I get a lot of requests for that. Real estate is boring.
Oh,
Luke! Luke creates these amazing spaces. Amazing. And then I have to work on them, and they're huge. Do you have to re-upload the same model or duplicate then re-upload? I don't know what we were talking about there. Did I miss something?
So we were talking about trimming and editing your window and trim marks. So when you can edit it in the same model and then you can re-upload it. Or if you, I think when I'm just editing trims, then I would just use the same model. But if I were to delete or add scan points for fear of making mistakes, I would duplicate it before I add or remove anything.
Yeah. Just remember that if you delete some scan points by accident, you want them back, support can get them back for you.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Onto your iPad?
No. So if you have a model and say you delete 5 scans and then you want them back, we can manipulate the manifest to pull them back in and then reprocess and they'll suddenly appear again.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is exciting. I did not know that.
And one day we'll have the ability to go from the cloud back to your iPad.
Oh, that would be the best.
That's on the roadmap.
Oh, that would be a dream come true.
Yeah. I missed a bathroom in a house and had to go back. Aw. When I re-uploaded, it created a new project. Yes, that is true. It will create a new project. Is there any way to replace the existing model? Unfortunately not. Every time you re-upload, you're going to get a new space. And the way I've heard it described is it's like baking a cake. When you process a model, you're baking all the ingredients together and you get a cake. And you can't now go back and stick an egg in the cake. If you want another cake, you got to start with all the raw ingredients and you're going to bake that and you're going to get another cake. But you're going to have lots of cake.
But I heard that you can move the frosting, right? Like the matter tags and the labels, you can transfer the frosting.
That's a great analogy. So yes, you can take anything you do in workshop and apply that to a model that's already been processed, which is a space. But if you change anything in Capture, you have to re-upload, which will then create a brand new space with a new URL or what we call a link. And there's just no way around that. Sorry.
So you cannot get the link back. The link is one thing that you just have to give up.
Yeah, different flavors of cake, I guess. Yeah, sorry about missing the bathroom. You should add your scans to the original and re-upload. I was out scanning one day with Bill Robinson, who's one of our awesome MSPs, and he basically said to me, Dee, you need to make sure that you scan everything you need when you're here because coming back costs you a lot of money. And I thought, that is so true, right? Time, right? That you have to travel back. And so he's like, it's better to overscan a little bit than to miss something. So he was extremely meticulous. We checked everything before we left. He was awesome. He was a great teacher. He taught me how to scan. Oh, here's one for you.
I don't know. I have not compared the XYZ files. So, and that's a really great questions. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
how is it?
So the question is, I know the BLK gives much higher accuracies when creating a point cloud using the Recap app, but say when you do it through Matterport, will the XYZ file given be more accurate? Well, it just disappeared. The XYZ file and the point cloud from the Matterport capture are not as high quality as what you would get straight from the BLK. We dumb it down a little bit. So if you're looking for higher resolution or higher points in the point cloud, then you should pull the data from the actual camera.
But in that case, you should scan with the HDR set to off or 3, because at 2, 4, and 5, you will not be able to import it into Recap or the Leica's own software.
Yep. So yeah, our point clouds get dumbed down a little bit.
Is there any plans to make it like a higher density point cloud? I know everyone's always asking.
I know. Not that I'm aware of, but again, maybe. There was a question about matter tags.
Right. How do you copy the matter tags from a previous model and then move it to a newly uploaded? You gas support, yes?
Yeah. So here's the deal. If the only thing you change in the model in the capture app is you add trims, then you re-upload, we can copy matter tags or anything that you do. Matter tags, snapshots, labels, measurements, we can copy them from the old original version to the new one. If you do anything like adding scans, moving scans around, deleting and adding or whatever, then we can't do that because the 3D data and the mesh is at that point completely different, and copying the matter tags over doesn't work. So, and if you do that, so for example, if you add, you like, oh, I forgot to mark this window, you go back, you mark your window, you re-upload, but you're like, oh man, I just entered 100 matter tags. I don't really want to do that all over again. I'd rather spend my time out shopping. Then you can contact support and we can copy those over for you. And it happens pretty quickly. So it's not like you have to reprocess. Bill Robinson is from Michigan. Yay. Is it possible to put all the photos in the highlight reel and then we can delete from there? I like to look at the slideshow to decide what to keep and what to take out.
So now the workflow is that you drag the photos individually. I guess people are wanting us. I've heard that often.
Yeah.
People are wanting a select all, add all to highlight.
Oh, yeah, we're working on that too. But there is a delete all button on the lower right-hand corner. So you can remove all the photos from the highlight reel at once, but you can't add them all at once. And I know exactly what you're talking about because I had to do a highlight reel once for a customer. And it was like, oh man, you're just dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging. So that is something that we've heard from customers. We are considering it. And it's definitely a feature request that we know about. Time and day. All right. Speaking of time and day, I have an announcement for next week. We have a special guest coming next week that I'm sure everybody's going to want to join and ask him a ton of questions. It is going to be the one and only Chris Hickman from Metroplex, and that is lovely Isabelle's partner. So if you have any questions about MP Embed, any techie nerdy questions that you think that Chris Hickman might like to answer for you, or if you just want to stump him, then you should definitely join us next week. We will change the time because he has some other constraints. So next week we'll be on at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 4 hours earlier than right now. And then we'll play it by ear as to when we want to do the next sessions. I don't think we're going to run any sessions through the holiday season. And so after that, we'll probably come back in the new year. But yes, we're very excited to have Chris. And I'm hoping that the two of you can do it together, Isabelle.
Maybe.
You'll be located like next to each other. So anyway, we'll talk about that. But yes, definitely join us next week, 11 o'clock Pacific time, and you can stump Chris. All right. Other than that, again, shout out to Adam. He's perfect. He's sitting right here. He's my man. And thank you to everybody who's joined us. Isabelle and I really like doing this. We love interacting with you guys, and we're so happy that you take the time to join us. Isabelle?
Yes.
All right. So that's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Remember, 11 a.m. with Chris Hickman. Yay, Chris Hickman. Bye.
Yay, bye.